What if I told you that, hidden in the dark corridors of the Vatican, there are documents so secret that they could transform everything we know about faith, history, and the teachings of God? What has the Church been keeping for centuries, away from the eyes of the world? Were they divine prophecies, manuscripts that reveal hidden secrets about the kingdom of heaven, or something even more surprising, capable of shaking the beliefs that sustain millions of believers? The Word of God has always been a source of light, guidance, and salvation. Since ancient times, sacred teachings have been preserved so that we could understand the will of the Creator. But has everything we should know really been revealed? Or is there a hidden part of the truth, accessible only to a chosen few? Jesus himself warned us about the importance of truth. And you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. John 8:32. But how can we know this truth if there are secrets kept under wraps? The Holy Bible teaches us that prayer and the search for divine wisdom bring us closer to God. But what if there are ancient writings that could reveal more about the divine plan? What if there are forgotten prophecies, messages from the prophets that never reached the people? Did God allow certain truths to be hidden? Or did humanity decide to hide what could change everything? Thousands of manuscripts rest on the shelves of the Vatican's secret library, locked under strict access rules. Why? What is the reason for so much secrecy? Could it be that among these texts there are revelations about the apocalypse, about the true identity of the Messiah, or about events that are yet to come? Prayer teaches us to trust in God's will, but also to seek discernment. If these documents hide something that can strengthen our faith, why can't they be read by everyone? If they only contain history, why can't they be shared with the world? What is it about these files that makes them so dangerous? And more importantly, why do only a few have access to these mysteries, while the rest of humanity remains in darkness? Truth has always been one of humanity's greatest treasures, and Jesus taught us that we must seek it with all our hearts. But how can we find this truth if there are barriers that prevent us from accessing it? If there are hidden mysteries, we must pray for God's light to reveal what needs to be known. Prayer has immeasurable power, and when we unite in faith, miracles happen. Therefore, I want to invite you to leave your prayer request in the comments. Let's form a chain of faith, asking God for discernment, wisdom, and revelation. If there is something that disturbs your heart, write it here. Let's pray together, because wherever two or more are gathered in the name of the Lord, He will be present. Whether it is a spiritual battle, a doubt, a cry for justice, or a request for healing and deliverance, believe that God hears every plea. And if you feel that this topic is important, if you believe that the truth needs to be known and shared, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. This not only strengthens this message, but also helps us reach more people who need to reflect on these mysteries. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any content, and be part of this journey in search of the truth. Now I ask you, do you believe that these secrets should be revealed? Do you think the Vatican is hiding something that could change the way we see faith and the history of humanity? Leave your opinion in the comments and share this video with those who also seek the truth. Let's go together, with faith and knowledge, explore the mysteries that have been hidden for centuries. The Vatican's secret library is one of the most mysterious and inaccessible places in the world. Founded in 1475, it houses a veritable treasure trove of historical documents, ancient manuscripts, sacred texts, and even books that have been banned by the Church itself over the centuries. There are more than 85 kilometers of underground shelves, full of knowledge that few eyes have had the privilege of seeing. But the big question is, what exactly is hidden there? What makes these documents so dangerous that they should be kept under lock and key, away from public access? We know that the Vatican has always played a central role in preserving the faith and controlling the religious narrative. For centuries, the Church decided which texts were considered inspired by God and which should be rejected. But will this process priceless secrets were hidden? Could it be that within these silent walls there are answers that could change the way we understand the history of humanity, the Christian faith, and even the teachings left by Jesus Christ? Among the most enigmatic texts supposedly kept in the Vatican are apocryphal books, lost gospels, and documents that have been removed from the scriptures. The Book of Enoch, for example, talks about fallen angels, the Nephilim, and celestial secrets that defy the official creation narrative. The Gospel of Judas presents a totally different view of one of the most hated characters in the Bible, the Dead Sea Scrolls. They bring information that could completely change what we know about the origins of Christianity. If these texts exist and are being kept confidential, what would be the reason for this secrecy? Was it to protect people's faith or to maintain control over sacred knowledge? The Vatican itself allows only very few people have access to these files, and even then, under extremely strict rules. If there is nothing to hide, why such a mystery? History has already shown that the Church did not hesitate to censor content considered heretical. Over the centuries, many works were burned, destroyed, or kept in absolute secrecy. In the past, questioning established dogma was dangerous, and even great thinkers were persecuted for challenging the official view of the Church. If this pattern has been repeated throughout history, are there still truths that are being suppressed today? Another mystery that intrigues researchers is the possibility that, inside the Vatican's secret library, there are hidden prophecies about the future of humanity. Reports suggest that there are texts that talk about catastrophic events, the emergence of the Antichrist, and even the apocalypse. Some scholars believe that documents containing detailed predictions about the end times they were hidden on purpose, to avoid panic among the faithful. But if these prophecies exist and are true, why not share this information with the world? The truth is that the Vatican has immeasurable power over history and religious knowledge. For centuries, the Church was the greatest guardian of knowledge, deciding what could and could not be disclosed to the public. Many believe that there is a deep fear that certain information could shake the fabric of faith and question what we have always been taught. If a single discovery were capable of changing everything we know, how would the faithful react? But there is something even more intriguing. Does the Vatican Library keep secrets about the existence of life beyond Earth? Over the years, speculation has arisen that the Church is aware of the presence of extraterrestrial beings, and that historical documents could prove this. Some theorists claim that there are records of contacts between religious authorities and beings from other worlds, and that this knowledge was suppressed so as not to generate a collapse in the Christian faith. After all, if we discovered that we are not alone in the universe, how would that impact religious beliefs? And it doesn't stop there. In addition to religious texts, there are historical records that can tell a completely different version of biblical events. Are there documents that talk about a possible lost lineage of Jesus Christ? Are there texts that show that some of the Bible's greatest miracles may have been misinterpreted? What intrigues me most is that despite the immense wealth of knowledge stored within these underground shelves, the Church remains completely silent about its true content. No convincing explanation is given about why access to these documents is so restricted. After all, faith must be built on truth, not on secrets hidden in locked files. And that's why I want to know your opinion. Do you believe the Vatican is hiding secrets that could change human history? If these documents were revealed, what do you think we would discover? Leave your opinion on this mystery in the comments. Comment, "The truth must be revealed," if you think the Church should open the secret files to the public. If these documents truly contain compromising secrets about the history of the Church, hidden revelations that could alter our understanding of biblical events, and even frightening prophecies about the end times, why are they kept under strict secrecy? What could be so dangerous? That it needs to be under lock and key in one of the most inaccessible libraries in the world? Isn't the truth something that should be shared with everyone? Is there something in these texts that could profoundly shake the structures of Christian faith and change the way we see the relationship between God and humanity? Imagine for a moment that within these underground shelves of the Vatican, there are historical records that contradict what we have been taught for centuries. What if certain biblical passages had been altered, edited, or even removed to fit a convenient narrative? Since the first councils of the Church, religious leaders have decided which texts should make up the scriptures and which should be discarded. But on what basis were these decisions made? Were the Gospels considered apocryphal rejected simply because they were not in line with official doctrine, or because they contained truths that could change everything? The Vatican itself has acknowledged, on several occasions, that there are books and historical documents that cannot be accessed by the public. But why so much restriction? What would be the impact If we discovered, for example, that there are reports that describe the figure of Jesus Christ in a completely different way, or that the resurrection may have been misinterpreted? What if there are records that prove that certain biblical events were shaped over time to strengthen the power of the church? If there is something to be hidden, it is. Because the truth that these documents carry may be much greater than we imagine. Now, if we talk about end times prophecies, the situation becomes even more frightening. There are rumors that within the Vatican's secret library, there are manuscripts that contain detailed predictions about the fate of humanity, descriptions of catastrophes that have not yet happened, and even records that mention the emergence of the Antichrist. Some of these prophecies may be related to recent events, such as wars, pandemics, and natural disasters. If these documents truly contain accurate predictions about what is to come, why does the Church keep this knowledge secret? Was it to avoid global panic, or to protect their own interests? The Bible already warns us about signs that precede the end of times. In Matthew 24, Jesus describes that there will be wars and rumors of wars, famines and earthquakes in various places. Are these passages just metaphors, or are there documents hidden in the Vatican that provide more detailed information about the events that will precede the second coming of Christ? Some scholars believe that the Church holds prophetic texts so impactful that their revelation could completely change the way we view the future. If this is true, then we are facing the greatest secret ever kept in the history of humanity. In addition to the prophecies and possible changes to sacred texts, there is another intriguing mystery: the Vatican's connection to occult knowledge and even ancient technology. Some researchers believe that hidden among the secret archives are manuscripts that reveal information about ancient civilizations, mystical powers, and spiritual secrets that have never been shared with the public. There is even a theory that the secret library contains documents that prove the existence of sacred artifacts, such as the Holy Grail or the Ark of the Covenant, and that the Church keeps this knowledge hidden to prevent these objects from falling into the wrong hands. What makes this story even darker is the fact that many people who tried to investigate these mysteries disappeared without a trace. Researchers, historians, and even religious people who dared to challenge the Vatican and seek answers about these secrets were somehow silenced. Is it a coincidence, or are we facing something much bigger? There are reports of priests who had access to certain documents, and after that, simply abandoned the Church without explanation. Other scholars claim that there are witnesses who saw forbidden texts, but were threatened to never reveal what they discovered. And the most intriguing question of all, if these secrets were ever revealed, how would the world react? What would happen if we discovered that the Church always knew something that could completely change the Christian faith, but kept it secret to preserve its power and influence? Would people lose faith or turn even more toward the search for truth? Would this knowledge bring us closer to God, or would it make us question everything we believe? Now, I want to know your opinion. Do you believe that the Vatican hides prophecies that could reveal the end times? Do you think there are secret documents that would alter the history of the Christian faith? Leave your comment below and tell me what you think is being hidden inside the Vatican's secret library. If you've come this far and want this knowledge to be revealed, comment, "The truth needs to be exposed." What is it about these texts that makes them so dangerous to publicize? Why books like Book of Enoch, the Gospel of Judas, and the Sybil manuscript were left aside, hidden in the depths of the Vatican's secret library? If they were just unimportant stories, why did the Church ban them and do everything so that humanity would never have access to these writings? What is hidden in these pages that could change the way we see faith, history, and even our destiny? The Book of Enoch. It is one of the most controversial and mysterious texts ever written. He talks about the fallen angels, the so-called vigilantes, who disobeyed God and came to earth to teach humanity forbidden secrets. According to the text, these angels revealed knowledge about astronomy, metallurgy, sorcery, and even ways of manipulating divine creation. But the most shocking point in the Book of Enoch is the story of the Nephilims, hybrid beings, children of fallen angels and human women. Were these reports just metaphors or records of something real, hidden by the Church? If this book was left out of the Bible, was it because it challenged the official creation narrative? Does the Vatican keep secret evidence that these events really happened? Another text that raises many questions is the Gospel of Judas. This document presents a completely different version of Jesus' betrayal. In it, Judas is not portrayed as a traitor, but rather as the most faithful disciple, chosen by Christ himself to fulfill a divine plan. If this version were accepted, the history of Christianity would be drastically changed. How would this affect the dogmas of the Church? Was this gospel removed from Scripture because its message was dangerous to those who wanted to control the narrative? If what we know today is the result of choices made by religious leaders of the past, how many other truths could have been erased or distorted? And then we have the Sibyl manuscript, a text filled with frightening prophecies about catastrophic events. He mentions natural disasters, wars, and even the emergence of a new world order. Some predictions seem to coincide with events we are experiencing today, which raises the question, were these prophecies written just as metaphors, or do they really speak about the future of humanity? If there are prophetic records within the Vatican that detail what is to come, why has the Church never revealed them? Was it to avoid panic, to keep people under control, or because they know that these revelations would completely change the way we interpret faith and the destiny of the world? What if we go beyond the texts and start to question what else might be hidden? There are rumors that inside the Vatican's secret library, there are documents that confirm the existence of beings from other worlds. Throughout history, several religious figures have reported encounters with mysterious entities, and some of these descriptions are very similar to what we call today aliens. Does the Vatican have records that prove we are not alone in the universe? Could it be that these documents contain information about the origins of humanity that has been deliberately hidden? What if the concept of divinity itself is much larger and more complex than we have been taught? Furthermore, there are reports that the Church has detailed records about historical events that have been completely erased from the official narrative. Some researchers believe there is evidence that advanced civilizations existed much earlier than traditional history tells us. Could these documents confirm the existence of societies that dominated scientific and spiritual knowledge far beyond what we imagine? Does the Vatican hide information about ancient technologies, forbidden rituals, or even evidence that human history has been manipulated? If these documents exist, what would happen if they were revealed to the public? What would happen if we suddenly discovered that much of what we were taught had been carefully tailored to suit specific interests? What if certain historical figures weren't exactly who we thought they were? What if the Church knew more than it says about the apocalypse, about the coming of a new Messiah, or about the mysteries of life after death? Questions pile up, but answers remain locked on inaccessible shelves. If these documents only contained ordinary historical information, why doesn't the Vatican make them available for scholars to analyze? The truth is that the absolute secrecy surrounding the secret library only reinforces the idea that there is something much bigger being hidden. What could be so impactful that it needs to be kept from public knowledge? If the Church has always defended the truth, why does it choose to hide certain facts and allow humanity to live in ignorance? Now, I want to know your opinion. Do you believe that the Vatican hides secrets that could completely change the history of humanity? If these texts were revealed, what do you think we would discover? Leave your comment below and tell me what you think is being hidden inside the Vatican secret library. If you've come this far and want this knowledge to be revealed, comment, "The truth needs to be revealed." What could be so dangerous about these documents that the Church creates so many barriers to their access? Why are a chosen few allowed to consult these archives while the rest of humanity is kept in the dark? This only reinforces the suspicion that there is something very big being hidden, something that could forever change the way we understand faith, history, and even our own existence. If these documents contained only ordinary religious information, if they were mere historical records, why restrict access so strictly? The truth is that the Vatican controls not only information, but also what can and cannot be known to the world. There are reports of scholars and historians who attempted to obtain permission to examine documents from the Vatican's secret library, but were prevented from doing so without any plausible explanation. Some of these people spent years researching certain topics, only to be stopped the moment they got closer to the truth. What makes these archives so untouchable? What does the Church fear will be discovered? Are there documents that talk about biblical events differently from what we know? Are there records that prove that certain dogmas were established to favor the power of the religious institution over the centuries? Furthermore, there is an even more disturbing detail. There is a select group who have special permission to access the files. These individuals are carefully chosen, and yet they cannot just walk in and skim through any document they want. There are extremely strict rules, and many of these texts require specific permissions from high-ranking Vatican officials. This means there is a filter on what can be accessed, and only a few privileged minds are able to see certain information. Who are these people? What do they know that the rest of humanity cannot know? And it's not just researchers who are blocked from accessing the secret library. There are also reports of religious leaders who tried to investigate what is there and ended up being removed from their positions or publicly discredited. Could it be that there were priests, bishops, or even cardinals who came into contact with secrets so shocking that they needed to be silenced? It's hard not to suspect that something much bigger is going on behind the scenes. If we look at history, this would not be the first time that the Church controlled information to maintain its authority. During the Middle Ages, many writings that challenged the official view of Christianity were destroyed or hidden. Thinkers were persecuted for questioning religious dogmas. Even scientific discoveries, such as Galileo's heliocentric theory, were censored because they contradicted the biblical interpretation accepted at the time. If this happened in the past, what would prevent the same practice from continuing today? Another point that draws attention is that, amid these secrets, there are rumors that the Vatican keeps documents that talk about lost civilizations, hidden knowledge, and even contacts with entities that do not belong to this world. Were they just conspiracy theories, or was there something true to this? We know that in several ancient cultures there are records of beings that came from the heavens and brought knowledge to humanity. Some of these descriptions are eerily similar to modern accounts of extraterrestrials. What if the Vatican knows more than it reveals about the origin of humanity and contact with beings from other worlds? Rumors also talk about the possibility of there being evidence that Jesus Christ left descendants. The idea that Christ had a lineage is extremely controversial and, if confirmed, would shake the entire structure of Christianity as we know it. What would happen if documents hidden in the Vatican revealed that the story of the Messiah was intentionally altered? How would the Church react if information came to light that there are records that indicate a completely different version of Jesus' life? Furthermore, there is the mystery of apocryphal books and forbidden texts. Why did the Church decide that only certain Gospels would be included in the Bible and others would be rejected completely? The Gospel of Mary Magdalene, for example, suggests that she played a much more significant role than we have been taught. The Gospel of Thomas brings teachings of Jesus that differ from traditional doctrine. What do these texts contain that cause them to be excluded from the official history of Christianity? If this information is so irrelevant, why not allow people to access it and draw their own conclusions? And we cannot forget the prophecies. Many of them were kept secret and were only partially revealed over the years. The third secret of Fatima itself, which supposedly spoke about future events, was leaked vaguely, without many details. What else could be hidden in the Vatican archives? Are there documents that accurately speak about the future of humanity? Could it be that there are records of events that are yet to come, but that were hidden to avoid a collapse in people's faith? The Church has always played a crucial role in controlling the historical narrative. For centuries, kings, emperors, and political leaders were directly linked to the Vatican. Many decisions that shaped the world as we know it today were made under the influence of the Church. Given this, it is impossible not to wonder how many truths were manipulated to ensure that power remained in the hands of an elite. How many secrets are buried beneath the dark halls of the secret library, awaiting the day they finally come to light? Now, I want to know your opinion. Do you believe that the Vatican hides secrets that could completely change the history of humanity? Do you think that only a select few have access to this information because it is too impactful for the public? If you want the truth to be revealed, comment below. The truth needs to come out. The Vatican insists that there is nothing secret or prohibited inside its library, claiming that the documents stored there are merely historical, and that there is no reason for speculation. But if that were true, why is access so restricted? Why can only an extremely select number of people access these files, and even then, only with specific permissions and under strict surveillance? If there is nothing to hide, why prevent scholars and historians from having the freedom to research? The absolute secrecy and extreme security measures only reinforce the suspicion that there is something much bigger being protected by these walls. Reports from academics who have attempted to access these archives and were unjustifiably denied only further fuel the mysteries surrounding the Vatican's secret library. Some researchers claim that when they requested information about certain documents, they received evasive answers, were ignored, or even pressured to give up their investigations. What could be so disturbing that it needs to be locked in high-security safes? Do the texts that rest there contradict the scriptures we know today? Do they reveal hidden facts about the founding of the Church? Or perhaps they harbor secrets that, if they came to light, could shake the foundations of the Christian faith and completely alter our view of God, humanity, and the future? Many believe that the Church not only holds these secrets, but actively works to ensure that they are never revealed. It's no secret that, throughout history, the Vatican has played a key role in preserving, and also destroying, documents it considered dangerous or inconvenient. How many texts were burned so that their words would never be read again? How many truths were silenced to protect the power of the institution? And how many of these records still exist, hidden in the basement of the Vatican, kept only for the eyes of a small select group? Among the documents that were supposed to be there are reports of writings that would reveal an alternative version of the story of Jesus Christ. Apocryphal Gospels, ancient manuscripts, and forbidden texts could contain information that challenges what we have been taught about his life, his mission, and his ultimate destiny. Are there records that prove that Jesus survived the crucifixion? Are there documents that mention the possibility that he had a lineage, something that would radically change the basis of Christianity? Or perhaps the Church has hidden reports that show that the figure of Christ has been interpreted differently over the centuries, adapted to suit the interests of those who wanted to maintain control over the faith. In addition to the texts that talk about Jesus, there are rumors that the secret library keeps documents about prophecies that were never revealed to the world. The third secret of Fatima itself was kept secret for decades before its partial disclosure, and to this day, there is controversy over whether the Church has actually revealed its full contents. If this was just one of the many prophetic secrets the Vatican tried to hide, what else could be hidden? Prophecies about the coming of the Antichrist, about events that would lead to the end of times, about catastrophes that could rewrite the history of humanity. If there are detailed predictions about the future of Earth and Christianity, why are they not shared with humanity? Is the Church trying to avoid panic or protect its own power structure in the face of revelations that could weaken its influence? Another aspect that makes everything even more mysterious is the Vatican's role in preserving occult and esoteric knowledge. There are rumors that among the documents stored in the Church's vaults, there are texts that talk about alchemy, magic, forbidden rituals, and even ancient technologies that were lost over time. Some theories suggest that the Vatican is in possession of ancient manuscripts that describe secrets of the creation of the universe, writings that could connect modern science to spirituality in ways we don't yet understand. Does the Vatican know more than it admits about the nature of the human soul, about hidden dimensions, or about the true origin of our world? And if this knowledge were revealed, what would be the impact on society and religions in general? And we cannot ignore one of the most disturbing mysteries: the reports that the Vatican has documents confirming contacts with non-human entities. This is one of the most controversial theories, but it is gaining strength as new evidence emerges. Are they just legends, or are there records that prove that beings from other worlds visited Earth in the past? Some scholars believe that the Church may have historical documents that talk about extraterrestrial contacts, and that this information was kept secret to prevent people's faith from being shaken. If this is true, it would mean that humanity has never been alone, and that the story of creation may be much more complex than we imagine. What does the Church know about the existence of life beyond Earth? Is this knowledge so impactful that it needs to be hidden at any cost. With each new question, more doubts arise about the true secrets kept in the Vatican. The more we investigate, the more we realize there are missing pieces to this puzzle. If the Church really has nothing to hide, why not open its doors and allow experts to study all documents without restriction? Why allow only a select group to have access to information that belongs to all of humanity? And if these secrets are revealed, how would that change the world? Are we facing a truth so great that its revelation would cause an irreversible impact on faith, politics, and the way we see our existence? Now, I want to know your opinion. Do you believe that the Vatican hides documents that could rewrite the history of Christianity and humanity? Do you think there are records of prophecies, hidden secrets, or even evidence of extraterrestrial contact? If you want these truths to come to light, comment below, "Secrets need to be revealed." If there are documents within the Vatican's secret library that talk about the apocalypse and the coming of the Antichrist, why have these texts not been released to the world? What is it about these prophecies that the Church considers so dangerous? Would panic fear be a strong enough reason to keep humanity in ignorance? Or does this information contain something much greater? Something that could completely change the way we understand the destiny of the world and divine plans for the future? If there are detailed accounts of catastrophic events, if there are records that talk about global wars, devastating natural disasters, and signs that precede the end of times, why is it all still locked away in secret vaults? Have these predictions already begun to be fulfilled, and does the Church prefer to remain silent so as not to alarm the faithful? Some prophecies mentioned in biblical texts and apocryphal records describe the arrival of a period of absolute chaos, a time where faith will be tested and humanity will be divided between those who will remain faithful to God and those who will follow a path of darkness. Many of these predictions talk about signs in the sky, about drastic climate changes, about the emergence of a world leader who will deceive the nations and establish a new global order. If these prophecies have been known and studied for centuries, does the Vatican have more detailed information about when these events will occur? Do hidden documents reveal clues about who the Antichrist will be and when he will emerge? The fact that the Church keeps a large number of prophetic texts under secrecy only increases the suspicion that there is something too big to share with the public. Many believe that the Dead Sea Scrolls, discovered in 1947, contain revelations about the apocalypse that have never been fully disclosed. Some of these texts talk about the final battle between good and evil, describing events that could be interpreted as modern wars and global crises. But what's most intriguing is that scholars who have analyzed these documents report that not all of the information has been released to the public. The Vatican had access to these manuscripts before many independent researchers, and there are rumors that some passages were removed or simply never came to light. If these texts only contained historical accounts, why was access so controlled? Is there something in them that could point to specific events in our time? In addition to the Dead Sea Scrolls, there are also theories that the Vatican has more recent records that confirm that some prophecies have already begun to be fulfilled. Reports talk about documents that describe pandemics, economic crises, political collapses, and even the rise of powerful figures who could be linked to the prophetic scenario of the apocalypse. If this information really exists and is being hidden, what would be the reason? Maintain order, protect the faithful from the truth about what is to come? Or do some of these revelations expose a side of the Church that it prefers to keep hidden? Another intriguing question is the Vatican's relationship with Marian apparitions and prophetic messages. Over the centuries, several apparitions of the Virgin Mary have been reported around the world, many of them bringing messages about the future of humanity. Some of these events were officially recognized by the Church, such as Fatima, Lourdes, and Guadalupe, but others were hushed up, discredited, or simply ignored. Why? The third secret of Fatima is one of the most famous examples of this mystery. For decades, the Vatican kept this prophecy secret, and when it finally revealed it, many believed that the released version was incomplete, or that the true message still remains hidden. What could be so impactful about this prophecy that the Church would be so hesitant to release it? If this message spoke about the future of the world, about the destiny of the Church, and about catastrophic events, why not allow the faithful to have full access to this information? And we cannot ignore the ancient texts that mention the coming of a time where faith itself would be corrupted, where religious leaders could be deceived, and where the truth would be replaced by lies. Do these prophetic documents talk about the church itself? Are there records that warn about infiltrations within religious institutions, about the manipulation of faith for political interests, and about a great mistake that would make millions of people follow the wrong path without realizing it? If these prophecies exist, what would be the impact if they were revealed now? Does the church fear that a hidden truth could shake the confidence of the faithful and provoke an unprecedented spiritual crisis? The Vatican's relationship with prophetic secrets is not something new. For centuries, the church has had access to information that could shape humanity's future, but it has always carefully chosen what would be shared and what would remain hidden. There are documents that talk about the Judgment Day, about specific signs that will indicate the arrival of this moment, and even about the exact time in which everything will happen. What if these texts are inside the secret library, accessible only to a select group of cardinals and scholars? What if the church already knows that certain prophecies are being fulfilled, but has decided to keep this information hidden to avoid global hysteria? What would happen if tomorrow we discovered that the Vatican has proof that the end times are closer than we imagine? Each time we analyze these mysteries, more questions arise. If the Church truly believes that its mission is to guide humanity along the path of truth and salvation, then why does it hide information that could prepare the faithful for what is to come? If the Bible already warns us about these events and gives us signs to identify them, what is the reason for keeping part of this truth secret? If there are documents that could confirm that we are living in the last times, wouldn't it be the Church's duty to alert the world? Or is there something much bigger behind this silence? Something that could completely change the way we understand our own existence and our role in this divine plan? Now, I want to know your opinion. Do you believe that the Vatican has secret documents about the apocalypse and the coming of the Antichrist? Do you think there is prophetic information hidden from humanity? If you believe the truth needs to be revealed, comment here, the prophecy needs to be revealed. In 2019, reports emerged that the Vatican was digitizing secret manuscripts from its underground library, raising numerous suspicions about the true content of these documents and the intentions behind this action. What exactly was being digitized? Why, after centuries of keeping these texts inaccessible to the public, did the Vatican decide to convert them into digital files? And most intriguingly, if there really is a digitization process underway, does that mean there's a risk that certain documents could be altered, censored, or even completely erased before the world has a chance to learn about them? Among the information that has emerged from these leaks, it is rumored that some of the texts being digitized contain detailed descriptions of apocalyptic events, forbidden gospels, and historical records that contradict the official church narrative. If this theory is true, what does the Vatican intend to do with these files? Could it be that the plan is to store them in a highly protected database, making them even more inaccessible? Or is there a fear that, with advances in technology and increasing popular pressure for transparency, these documents could become public in an uncontrolled manner? Some researchers suggest that many of these texts will never be released, as they would reveal information that could destabilize the faith of millions of people. Among the most controversial theories is the idea that within these underground shelves, there are documents that describe the true origin of Christianity in a totally different way from the one we know. Reports from historians who had access to these texts point to the existence of manuscripts that question details about the resurrection of Christ, the composition of the Bible, and even the role of the Church in manipulating certain religious beliefs throughout history. If these records really exist, what would happen if they were revealed to the world? Could it be that we are facing one of the greatest secrets ever hidden by humanity? And if we take this question a step further, we cannot ignore another disturbing theory. Many of these documents may have already been destroyed before they are even scanned. If there is something the Church does not want discovered, the most effective way to ensure that secrecy would be to simply eliminate any physical trace of that information. There are reports that, over the centuries, the Vatican has ordered the destruction of texts considered dangerous or heretical, burning manuscripts, hiding documents, and silencing those who try to disclose certain truths. have always been methods used to preserve the power structure. But does this process still happen today? If secret manuscripts were being digitized, did all of them actually make it into the digital archive, or just those that passed rigorous screening? Another point that raises suspicions is the supposed relationship between these hidden documents and the prophetic secrets that were never revealed to the public. Some believe there are records within the secret library that describe future events in stunning detail. Texts that talk about devastating wars, pandemics, catastrophic climate change, and even the rise of a global leader who would unify nations under a new system of absolute control. Most worryingly, some of these predictions appear to align eerily with what we are experiencing today. Does the Vatican know more than it is willing to admit? Could it be that, within these secret files, there are guidelines on how to deal with what is to come, but they are kept from the public so that only a select few have this knowledge? The Vatican's relationship with secret documents and hidden prophecies is nothing new. Since medieval times, the Church has accumulated an impressive collection of writings that have been censored and hidden from the world. Many of these texts were banned because they could challenge religious dogmas, others because they challenged the traditional interpretation of sacred scriptures. There are also those that were kept secret because they contained information so advanced for the time in which they were written that they could have completely transformed the understanding of science, spirituality, and the history of humanity itself. But what if, among these documents, there are records that go beyond what we imagine? There are those who say that the Vatican has writings that detail the existence of hidden knowledge, lost civilizations, and even contacts with entities that do not belong to this world. Some of these theories suggest that, hidden in some secret vault, there are documents that prove that the Church has always known that we are not alone in the universe. This would explain why, in recent years, the Vatican has shown a growing interest in astronomy and space exploration. Does this change in stance indicate that something big is about to be revealed, or that certain information has been known for a long time but was hidden to avoid the collapse of traditional faith? Another intriguing question is the possibility that the Vatican is preserving records of historical events that have been completely erased from the official narrative. The history of humanity is full of gaps, entire periods of lost knowledge, civilizations that disappeared without explanation. Could some of these mysteries be solved if we had access to the Church's secret archives? Are there records that tell about the true location of the Ark, of the Covenant, about the fate of the Qumran scrolls, about sacred artifacts that mysteriously disappeared? Could it be that certain objects, considered to be of immense spiritual and historical value, are hidden within the Vatican's vaults, protected from ever being discovered? The fact that information continues to emerge about banned documents, leaks, and the digitization of confidential texts only reinforces the idea that the truth cannot be hidden forever. If there is something being hidden, sooner or later it will come to light. But the question remains, when that happens, will we be prepared to deal with the impact of these revelations? What would happen if tomorrow it was confirmed that the story we know was manipulated? What secrets about faith and humanity have been suppressed for centuries? What would this mean for millions of people around the world? Now, I want to know your opinion. Do you believe that the Vatican is destroying documents so that certain truths will never be revealed? Do you think these manuscripts contain information that could change everything we know about Christianity and humanity? If you want this truth to come to light, comment here. Secrets need to be revealed. If these documents were to come to light, the impact would be simply unimaginable. The faith of millions of people could be shaken, as everything we have been taught about Christianity could be incomplete or even have been modified over the centuries. How many truths were hidden so that the structure of religious power remained intact? How many secrets have been buried under layers of silence to prevent people from questioning the foundations of faith that guide their lives? If forbidden manuscripts were revealed, they could not only rewrite the history of Christianity, but also provide answers to mysteries that have intrigued theologians, historians, and believers around the world for centuries. Imagine the global commotion if documentary evidence suddenly emerged that certain events described in the Bible happened differently than we know. What if we discovered that some texts were removed on purpose because they contained information that did not fit the narrative established by the Church? How would believers react if they were confronted with evidence that certain doctrines have been adapted over time to strengthen the hold of the religious institution? Would they have the strength to accept this new reality, or would the shock make many simply refuse to believe? Among the most mysterious documents, it is speculated that there are gospels never before revealed, writings that speak about unknown aspects of the life of Jesus Christ, perhaps even about teachings that have been suppressed. What would happen if one of these texts brought a completely new vision about your mission on earth? Could Christianity as we know it collapse? Or on the contrary, would this revelation make people seek an even deeper connection with spirituality, finally understanding truths that had been hidden for centuries? What if we discovered that within the Vatican's secret library, there are records about supernatural phenomena, contacts with entities from other dimensions, secrets about the creation of the world, and prophecies that have never been shared with humanity? Many of these questions could finally be answered if these documents came to light. But that's exactly what makes this possibility so dangerous. Who guarantees that humanity would be ready to deal with these revelations? Truth has always been a powerful weapon, and those who have knowledge also have control. Now think about the reaction of the Church itself. The Vatican has always had an attitude of absolute control over its information and would hardly allow such documents to be revealed without a strategic reason. If something was leaked, would the Church try to discredit the information? They could claim that they are forgeries, that they have been misinterpreted, or that they simply have no relevance. But the problem is, once something like this is exposed, there is no going back. The public would start to question. The world would divide between those who believe these discoveries are real and those who would insist they are just conspiracy theories. But regardless of which side people chose to be on, one thing would be certain: doubt would have been planted. And the most disturbing question of all, if the Church is so afraid of these secrets being revealed, then what exactly is hidden? If they were just historical documents, why keep so much mystery? If there is nothing to fear, why prevent independent scholars from analyzing them freely? Secrecy only strengthens suspicions that there is something much bigger being protected. And if one day these secrets come to light, it will not be at the will of the Vatican, but by those who believe that the truth cannot remain hidden forever. If the Vatican were to open its secret library to the public, it would completely change the way we understand not just the Christian faith, but the entire history of humanity. What exactly is hidden behind these impenetrable walls? Are they just ordinary historical documents, church administrative records, or is there something much deeper, something that could challenge centuries of religious teachings? The fact is, if there was nothing so shocking there, why would the Church maintain such strict control over these files? What would justify such an extreme level of secrecy to the point where only a select group of people have access to this knowledge? Many believe that the Vatican not only possesses documents that could rewrite the history of Christianity, but that it also keeps records about supernatural phenomena, hidden prophecies, and even events that have never been released to the public. There are reports from manuscripts that talk about forgotten miracles, about divine revelations that were never shared, and even about contacts with spiritual entities that defy everything we know about existence. What would happen if these documents were revealed? How would people react to discovering that the history of faith may be much more complex than we have been taught to believe? Now imagine if, inside the Vatican's secret library, there was evidence that major biblical events occurred differently than we know. If there were texts that revealed, for example, that certain books of the Bible were edited, rewritten, or even removed completely over the centuries. What if we discovered that some historical figures weren't exactly who we thought they were? If there were records that proved that some of Christianity's best-known stories were altered to fit the political and theological needs of the time? What would this mean for the faith of millions of people around the world? Furthermore, we cannot ignore rumors that the Vatican hides prophecies about the future of humanity, texts that could contain detailed predictions about global events, natural disasters, wars, and even the end of times. If this information exists and is so accurate as to scare the Church itself, this would explain why it was never released to the public. Fear of panic, the need to maintain control over the faithful, or perhaps even concern about the impact this revelation would have on the structure of society, could be some of the reasons behind this absolute silence. But will the Vatican continue to keep these secrets hidden forever? In a world where information spreads quickly, where documents are leaked, and where people are increasingly questioning traditional narratives, the Church's absolute control over this knowledge may be coming to an end. If one day these truths came to light, would the Vatican try to deny it? Would there be an attempt to discredit those who brought this information to light? Or is the Vatican itself already preparing to, little by little, begin to release some of these truths in a controlled way to minimize the impact? Be that as it may, the fact is that curiosity about the Vatican's secrets has never been greater. More and more people want to know what is really hidden inside these underground shelves, and this pressure only tends to grow. The Church may even try to keep this knowledge restricted to a few, but the search for truth will never be interrupted. If you felt the voice of God touching your heart while watching this video, if something inside you awakened to the search for truth, then don't ignore this call. Subscribe to the channel right now and turn on notifications, because together we will continue this journey in search of hidden mysteries, the truth that was hidden and the revelations that could change everything. I know you've come this far. I want you to participate. Comment below. The truth needs to be revealed, so that I know that you are with me on this quest, and that you want these secrets to come to light. Your comment not only shows me that you are engaged, but it also helps this video reach more people who need to know this message. I know this message made sense to you. Leave your like right now, because it makes all the difference and helps spread this knowledge to more people. The more interaction we have here, the greater the strength of this investigation, and the further this truth can reach. Now, before you leave, watch the next video that is appearing on the screen. He will take you even deeper into these hidden mysteries, revealing even more impressive secrets about the Vatican and the forbidden archives that few know about. Click now and continue this journey.